What's up, guys? Today I got a really exciting video for you. I met with a journalist from Western Washington University. His name is Juan, and we talked about how climate change is affecting the Bellingham housing market, and you're definitely not going to want to miss this one. But first, before we get started, I do want to tell you about my newsletter that I have. Every single week, I share information about what's happening in Bellingham, fun things to do, and what's going on in the housing market. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure you sign up down below. With that said, let's go ahead and jump into the video.
I have some questions too, Tommy, but I don't know if you wanted to take it a certain direction, maybe in housing. I know it's getting warmer here, so I don't know if it makes it more appealing for people here in Bellingham.
I think it does. I mean, I'm no climate expert by any means, I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but I do talk to a lot of people who are moving here because of climate change. A lot of reasons that I see people moving here for, and it's kind of astonishing and it kind of blows my mind a little bit, but people are moving here because of a lot of power outages. So unstable grids, rolling blackouts, with these massive heat waves, or where it's way too cold. People are wanting to move here for something a little bit more stable. And, of course, we're kind of a four-season area here in Whatcom County, but I think you would agree that it stays pretty consistent. It's not too bad. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. Being right next to the ocean really helps keep the temperature away from those extremes. Now, as you probably remember last year, I think it was last year, it got to 105 degrees one day, but that was one day out of the entire year. And, most of the time in the summer, it's like around 80 degrees. And then in winter time, it's around between like 40 and 60 degrees, depending on the day, right? We don't get extreme snows usually here. I mean, it depends on where you are. You're closer to the mountain, of course, you're going to get a lot more snow. Another reason people are moving here is water shortages. Down south, there's a lot of fear of water shortages, water drying up. And I believe in California, I think a lot of places are rationing water, or they're having a lot of water shortages.
So back to, I guess, would you say that's a positive then, that it's becoming more appealing? Or what's your perspective on that? Or what's your thought on, is that going in the positive list of work becoming more appealing? It's more of a better area to live?
I think the Bellingham, Washington, or Northwest Washington area is a great place to live. I mean, I'm biased. I'm a realtor. I want to sell houses. I have a whole YouTube channel about what it's like living in Bellingham. And naturally, it attracts a lot of people that want to live in Bellingham. So trying to be unbiased as possible. My wife and I have considered moving other areas. Do we want to move out of state? Do we want to move here? Do we want to move there? And we've done a lot of road trips recently. And of course, climate change, as a lot of other factors are at play, and there's just something about the Bellingham area that keeps pulling us back. I think it is very desirable to live here. It rains less here than it does in Seattle. If you're from California, it might take 6 months to a year for you to acclimate to our weather. But I definitely think climate changing is having an effect on people wanting to move here. I think we're relatively safe and people want to live here because of that, or that's one of many reasons people want to live here.
On the housing part of it, if you can play devil's advocate on maybe touch on the negative, are the houses that are built here able to withstand, if we do look down the line towards the future, if things do get, let's go into the direction of things get even hotter here, if we stay hotter, can houses withstand that kind of temperature change? Because a lot of the houses here don't have AC, or if we do experience more flooding, can our houses built like that? Because I think people would ponder that question if they're not from here, because if we mention that flood, our flooding system wasn't even prepared for that here locally in Bellingham. Some parts of Fairhaven were flooding. So people may ponder, are the housing ready for weather changes like that if they do come soon, or maybe 20 years down the line?
Yeah, I think it depends on where. I think a lot of our newer houses are prepared to be modified to accept AC. As you know, we don't really need AC here. It's nice to have 1 month, 2 months out of the year, but most of the houses here are run on something called forced air, or central air heating. Meaning all you need to do is take an AC unit and plug it in outside, and it will just hook up to that central air system and blow air through the entire house. If you are running on old baseboards, or you're running on like a some other heating system, like even like a stove or a fireplace, you might need to install something called a ductless mini split. Those they're relatively affordable. They're going to be a few $1,000s, but they're really good and really efficient at keeping houses cool. And they're efficient. Being more green. We're definitely seeing a lot of houses here in the Whatcom area switching to solar panels. I know that's been very popular the last 10 years. There's a lot of incentives. I know Washington State has different tax programs to promote solar panels right now. Regarding like different elements, sure, our houses are built to withstand rain and water because it rains here and there's water here. And while it's not as bad as some other areas, that's what our houses are built for.
Have you seen future like newly built houses that are on the way? Have you been able to see how they're getting built? Is there any differences?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's going to be difference from back in the day, but is there any adjustments to weather kind of?
Yeah, great question. Houses are built very, very efficient and very green. And what I mean by that is they are sealed up so tight that we started having mold problems because houses were so sealed up. So they started to have to add additional ventilation. And you want your house sealed up nice and tight. You don't want a bunch of cracks in the walls and outside, because you're going to be wasting energy. You're going to have heat seeping outside. You're going to have cold air seeping outside when it's hot out. So what they do is they're really good now, especially in the last 10, 20 years of really sealing up tight houses. And what they do is they do these like thermal scans when they build a house where they seal up all the doors and windows and they fill the house up with hot air. And they have like this thermal camera where they can go around and they can see, okay, we have cold air coming in over here. We have cold air coming over here. Let's seal these corners up a little bit more. So they actually make houses really sealed up really nice and tight. And then they added additional ventilation in like the windows and other areas. Like if you go inside houses, you'll see like these little like gaps, these little like ventilation. They have like these little ventilation units, kind of like little windows that you can open up that they let fresh air in and out of the house. So when you want to be more efficient, you close those up. Otherwise, you leave them open to let fresh air come in and let the house breathe. It's important to let houses breathe. Otherwise, you start getting mold and condensation and things like that.
Okay, cool.
So that's one thing I've been seeing. I think our houses are built really strong, and they're designed. They're almost over-engineered in a lot of ways. Like all of our houses now are built with hurricane brackets. When was the last time we had hurricanes? Never. We don't have hurricanes here, but they still include safety features like that to keep houses from flying away.
Do you think Bellingham can stay green if more and more people come? Because I don't know if you know the stat of how many moved this year, but I think my dad was telling me it was quite a few thousand people that moved over the past like 2 years or something.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think we're seeing just as many people leave as we are moving here. People are moving here, and people are moving away here, and people are moving to here. I think yes. I think it would make things worse from an affordability standpoint if we have more people moving here than we do have leaving. If we start growing at these massive rates, one problem Washington has, or one problem the Bellingham area, and I'm referring to like Whatcom County area. When I say Bellingham, is we have Canada to the north, we have Mount Baker, the mountains to the east, and you can't really develop any that way. These steep mountains, as you know, you can't develop anything. There's no highway that goes through here. You can't access eastern Washington without going south first. And then, of course, we have the ocean or the bay to the west. So from a development standpoint, we kind of have this little box where there's a lot of variety, there's a lot of options, there's a lot of things to do. It's a great location, but you can't grow out, you can't expand. You can maybe grow south a little bit, but then you have Skagit County, and even then you still have a lot of mountains right there. So from a growing standpoint, Whatcom County is limited in how much it can grow. And I think over the next 10, 20, 50, 100 years, it's going to get to a point where, yeah, it'll probably get more dense. It's probably going to grow. It could grow by another 10,000, 100,000. I don't really know, but I do know if it does grow, it's going to make housing even more expensive here.
Okay. And do you think that expands maybe so that kind of affects money things, but do you think that makes anything else worse? Maybe I think about like we're known for our trees, maybe our air quality here. So, I mean, with more people coming, trying to expand, will things like our nature, keeping it green, like I said before, do you think those will pay the sacrifice in the future? Or what do you think happens? Do we turn into a full city, at this point? Or what happens towards the future? What's your thoughts on where we're going?
Yeah, I think I'm not too worried about. I think the city of Bellingham is going to grow and expand. I think we're probably going to see more apartment complexes, more high rises. And I'm not talking, I don't know if necessarily Seattle level skyscrapers are going to happen, but I think we're going to see a lot more condensed housing. We're going to see a lot more condominiums. We're going to see a lot more multifamily. And we're talking big complexes here. Whatcom County Council does not like people, and this is just my opinion, my perspective. They don't like people building out in the county. They're trying to scoop everyone into city limits and kind of keep them there. They're trying to preserve the county as much as possible. It's hard to build out in the county. There's a lot of regulations. Like, they are very stingent about drilling wells, about where you can build, setbacks. They make you go through a lot of hoops, and it's become very difficult and expensive to build and develop out in the county. And yeah, that's part of climate change, but I think Whatcom County recognizes the growth that's going to happen here. And let's be real, it's special here. It's beautiful. Like you said, we have great air quality. We have beautiful trees. There's a lot of wonderful nature to explore and enjoy here. And I think a lot of our government officials are trying to preserve that to the best of their ability. Whether or not their effectiveness on how they're doing that or not, I'm going to, let the people decide. But, I think they're trying really hard to preserve that to the best of their abilities and keep everyone, for better or for worse, in city limits.
Because I always tell people when they come visit here, it's kind of like our people or whoever runs Bellingham, whatever, who build here, they try to build within the nature, not destroy it. In my perspective, I think they try to, at least. Obviously they do cut down trees, but I feel like we truly, like you just said, we do try to preserve that, what we're known for, why people are coming here. It's green, it's beautiful here. But with a certain point, I always ponder, if more people come here, I think just more of what it's known for is going to go away, don't you think? I mean, I don't know how you control population. I think everybody's trying to figure out that answer.
Yeah, I think that's where the free market comes in. I think, for better or for worse, it's can you afford to live here? Okay, then you're gonna find a place. If you can't, I mean, I think it's terrible. I don't want to see anyone have to leave because they can't afford to live here. But I think that's the only way you can really stop people from moving here legally. Like, at least, I mean, I think if it was much cheaper, if it was much more affordable. And I wish it was. Like, I wish housing was more affordable. Don't get me wrong. But I think that more and more people would live here. I mean, it's like, we have a good thing going on here. And, if we start building a ton more houses and plowing down trees, we want affordability. We need more building. Like, we need to build more homes. So I think there's no question about that. I think with the 2008 crash, a lot of building got put on hold for almost a decade. So we were short on a lot of housing for new people, which is unfortunate, which has contributed to houses skyrocketing on a national level. It's one of many factors, don't get me wrong. But yeah, like you said, we have that problem of where we want to preserve nature as much as possible. The city of Bellingham, city of Ferndale, some of these cities around here are really good at saying, okay, we're going to build this new development. Okay, well, we need to develop a certain amount of green space. We need to have these green belts. We need to have these nature preserves. These sometimes people call them wetlands. They're not. There's just these preserves that people have. If you look in Bellingham, a lot of the new builds, it's like a quarter of the lot, almost like a section of the lot will be fenced off. Even though it's your property, you can't go on it, you can't touch it, because they're trying to preserve it for nature.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to preserve it for nature to the best of their abilities, which is I think is a good thing. They are trying to build and incorporate as much as nature into a lot of the new builds and construction as much as possible. Obviously, that's not always possible, especially if you're building these massive developments like in the Cordata area. That was a really big area, but granted, there wasn't a lot of trees in that area. It wasn't deep in the woods. What I was referring to with Whatcom County, that's more like way out in the county. You know, they're trying to bring everyone in, you know, keep everyone here. You know, sure, we might sacrifice 10% of nature, but we're going to try and preserve the other 90%.
I know what you're saying because out in the county, there's still a whole lot of land. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it would probably amaze some people to drive out there and see how much land is not touched. It's still just growing, you know, and like thousands of acres of just land. And I think that's what you're talking about, right? I mean, it's hard to build out there, or do people own that, or like who gets to approve not touching that, or is that you think that's what we want to do is not just build cities when I think we could, but like I said, I think there is that theme that we want to keep it how it is as long as we can, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I think we could add millions of people here.
Yeah.
I think we could turn the entire county into a massive city, and it could grow quite rapidly, like several million people. Like people don't realize like how small Seattle is. It's really small. Like it's a lot of people in a small area, and you could fit something like that into Whatcom County at the cost of deforesting, right? You're gonna, you're gonna have to deforest a lot. You're gonna lose a lot of nature, and there's probably some areas that you probably shouldn't, like in the Everson, Sumas, where you have some of those water issues. We could do that. I don't think anyone here wants that, and I think that's hopefully going to prevent us having skyscrapers and turning into a Seattle.
Thank you, Tommy. Again, you did this for me again, so thank you so much for giving me your time.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
absolutely.
use
It's
this
fun. Thanks for hearing me rant.
Yeah, no worries. You always give me with good, intelligent rants that I like to hear and absorb and use it for my life as well. So, but thank you for the conversation. I think it was a good one for sure. That people, housing itself, which I think everybody at the moment is talking about housing, but to also remember other elements that come with housing as well. So, thank you so much, Tommy.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Remember, if you need any help buying or selling a house, please feel free to reach out to me. My team and I would love to help you. Of course, don't forget to sign up for my newsletter down below. With that said, my name is Tommy Mutchler, your favorite realtor, and I'll see you in the next one.